I must mention that indeed pandemics caused a huge drop of economic activity in my country. We estimated that the fall of GDP will be around -8% in the real terms in 2020. Maybe there will be some growth next year, but we don't expect the Czech economy, as in most cases in other European countries, we will not reach back the economic level of the end of 2019. We will not reach back before the middle of 2022. There were, of course, many sectors which suffered: automotive, related industrial companies, of course, the restaurants, hotels, the whole travel and touristic sector, the whole consumer product sector, etc.
As part of reducing the negative impact of lockdown, many countries have begun to introduce support measures. What monetary and tax policy measures have been introduced in the Czech Republic to support the sectors of the economy?
Well, let me say that what Czech government has decided is basically the same what most of the other developed countries, both in Europe and elsewhere, have decided. There is today some kind of a common wisdom of these measures. I just made a list here: state reimbursement to employers paying wage compensation due to obstacles to work. In English, this is usually called the furlough schemes. Lump sum allowance of 25,000 Czech crowns, which is approximately 1,000 euro for self-employed and partners of small limited liability companies. Expansion of possibility of drawing caregivers allowance, interest-free credit for some particular companies, remission of both personal and corporate income tax advance payments, remission of the social insurance premiums, advance payments, remission of healthcare insurance, etc.
Based on your experience, what recommendations could you give entrepreneurs and countries in strengthening the immune system of the economy from such crisis?
Well, I believe this is the lesson for the future. Even before the coronavirus hit, it was clear that we are facing kind of a common wisdom in business, which to some extent emerged after the end of Second World War, during the golden years of capitalism in Europe, Western Europe, and also which emerged after the Thatcher-Reagan revolution in 1980s. Due to the technology, due to the fact that globalization helped immensely countries like China, India, and others, but created income inequality and certain dissatisfaction in the middle class of the most developed countries. The election of Donald Trump is the best proof of that. So the problems with globalization, which brought the effects, climate change requirements, but also the new technologies, means that we will probably face the change in the business model. There might emerge over the next decade completely different or very different business model, which might be in the detail described by the fact that people will not have to travel so much, people will be able to work from home, etc. But also it has to do with the artificial intelligence, the robotics, digitalization, a completely different organization of industrial production, etc. And pandemics probably accelerated all these trends. So I don't think that companies should think hardly what about they will do next month or in half a year. They will have to struggle to survive the current situation. But the companies should understand that they should adapt to the new business model which will take place over the next decade. And also the governments will have to adapt, because they will have to change the educational system so that the young generation is prepared for the new business model. They will have to support the proper infrastructure, not only highways and high-speed trains, but especially the communication infrastructure like 5G, etc. So this is the most important task, which is ahead the economists and the policymakers.
Do you think it's going to be a new step of evolution of global trade? I mean, this pandemic issue.
I'm in this, and I know that it has its limits. I'm a multilateralist in this respect, so I was supportive more of the multilateralist or multilateral arrangement of the global trade. Recently, we have seen more the discussion on the bilateral basis when two countries, and again US versus China is the best example, are fighting in settling new standards in the mutual trade. Of course, it has to do with the huge trade deficit of the United States with China on one side. Of course, it has to do sometimes with the improper dealing of China with the intellectual property, for instance, etc., etc. But these are the issues which must be tackled, but at the same time, they should not prevent a global free trade.
Thank you.